Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dugout Daily. I'm Charlie, and I'm joined by Bernard. How are you, mate?
I'm feeling champion, mate, as we all should do, wasn't it? Could have ended in disaster, but it didn't, did it, mate? So I think we have to be happy with that, don't we? Just the one trophy, but that's not bad going, I don't think.
Well, the red side of Merseyside thought they were winning the quadruple 2 weeks ago, and we all know how that ended. So it's all good to feel champion at this moment in time. Big up Talk, big up Chelsea fan in the chat as well. So what we'll do, we'll go through game by game, just briefly mention each one, and then at the end of the show, we'll have a few awards: Player of the Season, Goal of the Season, best team performance, best moment, best player performance, and the most underrated player. So we'll start with the first league game of the season. Tottenham 1, City 0. The goal scored by Son. It weren't the greatest start to the season, was it, Bernard?
No, I think we were struggling, weren't we, mate? I mean, we had players coming back late who obviously they deserved a holiday after the Champions League, whether we won it or not. That didn't make any difference to it. So we saw. I think Pep knew. I think Pep knew going into that we were gonna struggle in it. But having said that, we had far more chances than they did again. But obviously, you can't allow for someone like Son and of course Harry Kane, who've been hinted at coming to us all season, haven't they? So. Yeah. Obviously, it was bound to happen, and they've been a bit. Let's face it, we've not done anything. We've not done anything at their ground. So with a sort of weakened team, I think it was on the cards, and a sort of deserved victory. Even though, as I said, we did have most of the game.
Yeah. And then after that, it was City 5, Norwich 0, with a Tim Krul on goal. Grealish scored his first City goal. Laporte, Sterling, and Mahrez were the goals in that game. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, as I say, we just had a quick scout through, and I think they had one shot in the whole game. Norwich. It was after that Tottenham thing. We got a couple of players back, so just nice and comfortable. And we were sort of all this talk about Harry Kane was fast disappearing. We scored 5. Do we actually need him?
No. Well, we didn't end up getting him, and of course we've ended up getting the Norwegian this summer. So after this was another 5-0 against Arsenal, this time with Gundogan, former City player, now at Barcelona, Ferran Torres scoring a brace, Gabriel Jesus and Rodri scoring in this one. What were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, we thought this would be a little bit harder than the Norwich game, but I think Arsenal, like Norwich, just managed one shot on target in the game. So again, things were looking pretty good. All right, the league tables were being put out there, and we weren't in the top 4. So obviously, everyone said it's going to be a big, good title race this season. But not showing us in the top 4, of course. But how did they sort of ignore us at their peril, don't they? But that thing was quite emphatic against Arsenal. I thought, hey, happy days, 5-0, we'll take that.
Yeah. And then we had an international break, came back, another 1-0 win, this time over Leicester, with Bernardo Silva scoring the goal in this one. What were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think this is where the strikers started to let us down all of a sudden. I mean, obviously Torres had been doing okay, and Sterling, etc. But we relied on Bernardo to nick this one for us. And certainly before Christmas, Bernardo kept popping up everywhere, all over the place. I think we thoroughly deserved it, but a bit tighter. But again, not the greatest play. Not one of our luckier grounds. We've lost a few there, of course. So we'll take that as well.
Yeah. And then our Champions League campaign started, a 6-3 win over RB Leipzig with Ake, a Mukiele on goal, Mahrez penalty, Grealish, Cancelo and Jesus scoring for City, and then an Nkunku hat-trick for RB Leipzig. What was your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, great game for the neutral. They went toe-to-toe with us. They weren't far behind us on possession or shots. So, great game, as I said, from a neutral point of view. And, I mean, there's no such thing as away goals now in these things, apart from when obviously it gets to the end where you might have to sort of count back on if you beat your team. So, we'll take 6-3 all day long. That was, again, the goals are flowing.
Yeah. And then the complete opposite of goals flowing. Next up, we had a 0-0 draw against Southampton. What was your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a late we thought we scored, didn't we, late on? And it was obviously cancelled by VAR. But then again, we had a bit of a let-off as well with Walker, didn't we, when we had a penalty against us. And it could have easily stood that, but obviously he changed his mind, having checked it over. And, of course, Walker stayed on the pitch. He had been sent off originally. But, yeah, not the greatest. A bit down after that one, I must admit. But people like Grealish, who's got a bit of stick, he was my man of the match for that one, I remember. But I think he had a good first half of the season. So, yeah, a bit disappointing again. We were trying to get in that top four and we were struggling with results like this.
Yeah. And then after this, we had City 6, Wycombe 1 in the EFL Cup third round with De Bruyne, Mahrez, Brace, Foden, Ferran Torres and Cole Palmer scoring for City. And Brandon Hanlan actually put Wycombe 1-0 up in this one. What was your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, well, I think the highlight of this was seeing the kids in defence, wasn't it, mate? I mean, Stefan was in goal and you had Egan Riley, Finley Burns, Mbeti, Wilson S. Brandon, Lavia as DM. And I think once he got a grip of it, once he got into the game, I thought he was superb and they were just as much to thank as the guys going forward, who obviously were a lot stronger up front, weren't we? It was just obviously the defence, but a good plan, a good play by Pep, that one, to stick the kids unit in defence, and it worked very, very well.
Yeah. And then after that, we went to Stamford Bridge and won by 1-0 with a goal scored by Gabriel Jesus in this one. What were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, some payback at last for the disaster last year against Chelsea and Tuchel, of course. So a little bit of payback, and thoroughly, even though it was only 1-0 a game, we thoroughly deserved. And you think about it, they were top at the time as well. So to go there and outplay them, we sort of put down a marker, I think, for the rest of the season.
Yeah. And then we went to Paris and got beat by 2-0 with Idrissa Gueye and Messi scoring his first goal for PSG in this one. What was your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
I mean, we outplayed them, didn't we, mate? I think again, but obviously we didn't take our chances, and we know with players like Messi in their lineup, they will take their chances. So it was incredibly disappointing. We came away from there with our tail between our legs, knowing that we really should have at least got a draw, if not won that game.
Yeah. Big up to Chelsea fan and James all in the chat. And then after that, we went to Anfield and drew 2-2 with Mane and Salah scoring for Liverpool, Foden and De Bruyne scoring for City. What was your thoughts on this game?
And we let them off the up, mate, didn't we, basically? I think first half we were superb. We could have been at least 2 or 3 ahead in that first half, and we didn't quite do it. And we actually went behind twice and had to equalise twice. We were far better the second half. But I think, again, like we did with the Chelsea game at Stamford Bridge, we were the better team. And, of course, going forward, that probably psychologically did us a lot of good. A 2-2 draw, we'll take that, but it could have so easily been another victory at Anfield for us.
Yeah. And then after that, we had a 2-0 win at home against Burnley with Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne scoring in this one. What was your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, again, a little bit back to just a competent display, wasn't it? I think that one against Burnley. I think we sat third in the league then, very close to Chelsea and Liverpool. And again, just a nice steady game without anything outstanding. I think Bernardo was playing brilliantly again.
Yeah. And then we went to Belgium for Club Brugge 1, City 5, with Vanaken scoring for Club Brugge, Cancelo, Mahrez, Brace, Kyle Walker and Cole Palmer scoring for City in this one. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, I mean, it was the apparent easy game of the group, wasn't it? And it certainly turned into that. And it's great to see Palmer get his Champions League goal, made it a nice, comfortable win. And with obviously the turnaround game to come, we looked as though we could sort of, with PSG on the horizon after that, we could sort of clinch that last 16 spot fairly early.
Yeah. And then we went to the Amex for Brighton 1, City 4, with McAllister scoring for Brighton, Gundogan, a Foden brace, and a Riyad Mahrez goal for City in this one. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, I thought it was slightly flattering, the scoreline for us. I did go down to Brighton for this one. I thought they played very, very well. Our 3 first half goals were all a bit not lucky, but not exactly straightforward. And I thought a 4-1 win was slightly flattering. Obviously, they got one late on when we didn't get ours. 4th one was at 95th minute, wasn't it? But I think it flattered us, but we probably deserved it in the end.
Yeah. And then we went to the London Stadium in the Carabao Cup and actually got knocked out 5-3 on penalties. The game was 0-0. West Ham scored all their penalties with Noble, Bowen, Dawson, Cresswell and Benrahma. Cancelo, Jesus and Grealish scored the penalties for us, but of course Phil Foden put his off target. What were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, West Ham went for the draw. West Ham went for penalties and they got them. And the luck of the draw, say once Foden missed that first one, there wasn't one missed. They didn't have to take the last one, did they? Because it was all over by then. So very disappointing. I was there at that one as well. That was very disappointing. As I say, West Ham had no real ambition to do anything in this game. We had loads of chances, didn't take them. And our Carabao Cup was gone. And I was really sad. Very, very sad.
Yeah. And then we had another disappointing result, 2-0 at home against Crystal Palace with Zaha and Gallagher scoring for the Eagles. What was your thoughts on this one, Bernard?
Yeah, I mean, I think once Laporte got his marching orders, it was all over, mate. I think they have won games where we've had 10 men with Pep in charge, but I think our Pep system doesn't really play well with 10 men. It just doesn't because the work we have to put in, of course. So, I mean, once Laporte, we did have a good go in the second half, I remember, and they obviously scored their second goal very late. But, a disappointing result and disappointing with Laporte as well, getting sent off in that game.
Yeah. And then we had the Belgian side Club Brugge at home. That game was 4-1 with Foden, Mahrez, Sterling and Jesus scoring for City and a freak own goal by John Stones being Club Brugge's goal. What were your thoughts on this one, Bernard?
Yeah, I mean, it was almost a walk in the park, wasn't it? In the old, as I said, as you said there, the equalised made it 1-1, but it was never really in it. And with a local derby to come, it was just a nice, comfortable, sort of training game, really, for City that night.
Yeah. And then, of course, we went to Old Trafford and won 2-0 with an Eric Bailly own goal and Bernardo Silva being the goal scorers in that one. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the thrashing they got from Liverpool before, probably a month before this, something like that. It was I think we were at Brighton that day, and it was as good as that. Basically, we absolutely, even though it was only 2-0, we absolutely dominated it, and it could have easily been a similar sort of scoreline. And United just were never in it. Ollie was never in it, as the we haven't had long left with him, did we? But just a total, as it has been at the Swamp in over recent seasons in the league. Just another emphatic win for City.
Yeah. And then we had Everton at home. This game was 3-0 with Sterling, Rodri and Bernardo Silva scoring in this game. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, well, Everton have always been a bit of a pain sometimes, haven't they? They've always been a bit of a bogey team, perhaps not so much lately. Certainly their ground, and even at the Etihad and Main Road in the old days as well. But I think Rodri's rocket in this, wasn't it? I think, was it voted the best goal of the season in the end? Even, I don't know who by, but when you compare it to another goal we're going to talk about in a bit. But Pickford I like Pickford. I think Pickford's a good shot-stopping goalkeeper. He was left clutching air, and we weren't great in that game, but it was worth the entrance money just to see Rodri's goal.
Yeah. And then we had PSG at home. This game was 2-1 with Sterling and Jesus scoring for City and an Mbappe goal put PSG 1-0 up in this one. What was your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, I mean, revenge, wasn't it? I mean, although they went 1-0 ahead with Mbappe, wasn't it, scored their goal. I always was quite confident in this. I think we outplayed them. far better team. And I say, I think that puts top of the group and through to the last 16 with a game spare, of course. So, yeah, I thought that was a great night. And, fingers crossed, we were hoping for better nights to come in Europe.
Yeah. And then we had West Ham at home. This game was 2-1 with Gundogan and Fernandinho scoring for City, and a late goal by Lanzini got a West Ham consolation in this one. What was your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, just had a quick. That was the old Blizzard game, wasn't it, mate? Where they were all cleaning the snow off the pitch, which we got some great pictures of at the time. And I think my man of the match I put as the groundsman and the guys who swept the ground. It wasn't the greatest game, but it wasn't the greatest conditions to play in, was it? And we did what champions have to do, just ground out the result, and a good win in the end. But all credit went to the guys who made sure the game finished on the night.
Yeah. And then after that, we went to Villa Park for Jack Grealish's return and won by 2-1, with Ollie Watkins scoring for Villa and 2 Portuguese players scoring for City, with Ruben Diaz and Bernardo Silva scoring in this one. What was your thoughts on this game, Bernd?
Yeah, the old Prince was watching this as well, wasn't it? So I'm glad we turned them over. I think we were poor second half. I think they came back into it, got a goal back, and we were never really that comfortable. We had a chance to make it 3-1 at certain stages, but yeah, it wasn't our best away display. And as I say, we didn't do too bad the first half, but I think that was a little bit fortunate because Villa played okay actually. It's just, but we couldn't really put our foot on the ball. I don't think much that night.
Yeah. And then after that, we went to Vicarage Road for Watford 1, City 3, with Cucho Hernandez scoring Watford's goal. Raheem Sterling scored for City with a brace by Bernardo Silva in this one. What was your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, they weren't doing very well, Watford, but they were struggling. And I think this put us top of the table, didn't it? Which, let's face it, we didn't really relinquish that position from pretty much the rest of the season, apart from a couple of game in hands at the end where Liverpool had played a day early or something like that. But, it was just easy. Watford just weren't up for it. I'm surprised they got a goal, in all fairness. But, City were on a bit of a roll at the time, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And then after that, we went to Leipzig and got beat by 2-1 with Szoboszlai and Andre Silva scoring Leipzig goals, and Riyad Mahrez scored for City. What were your thoughts on this one, Bernard?
Yeah, I mean, it was this role didn't last long, did it? But we made 7 changes, didn't we, to the team? I think from the last game against Watford. So it was a dead rubber. No one was that bothered. Even Stefan got a start, didn't he? And I think he was probably our man of the match looking at this. So yeah, disappointing, but no one was really that bothered with it.
No. And then after that, we were at home against Wolves and won by 1-0, with Raheem Sterling scoring from the penalty spot in this one. Raul Jimenez also got a red card for Wolves in this game. What was your thoughts on this one, Bernard?
Yeah, funny Wolves, aren't they? They've had a funny season. It was again an okay win. It wasn't comfortable by any means, but it kept us on top. And against 10 men, I don't think we're that much better than against 11 men. But it was just a good victory. We had to win the games at that stage. Pep was sort of saying that even at this stage of the season, it's virtually that we're having to win every one. It's not even Christmas yet, and that's what he was saying. And of course, it kept things bobbing along nicely again. Yeah,
definitely. And then we were at home to Leeds and won by 7-0, with Foden, Grealish, Mahrez, Stones and Ake scoring for City and the De Bruyne brace in this one. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Well, brilliant, wasn't it? I mean, absolutely brilliant. But Leeds are awful. Leeds were awful. I was very, very surprised at the end of the day they stayed up. But all credit to them. Obviously the new manager came in and kept them up, tightened them up a little bit. Obviously, but 7-0. I mean, it was quite embarrassing, wasn't it? But it could have been a lot more. Could have been a lot more than 7-0. But we'll take that. We're not bothered, are we? We'll take that.
Yeah, definitely. And then after that, we went to St James's Park and won 4-0 with Diaz, Cancelo, Mahrez and Sterling scoring in this one. What was your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, they were struggling, weren't they? They hadn't obviously had the ability to sort of increase the squad or spend the money that had come into the club by that stage. And obviously, it's a different Newcastle by the end of the season. But yeah, did what we had to do. It's not been a bad ground for us, has it? And again, it sort of started off a little bit slowly, but because we've had a couple of bad results, haven't we, recently over there? I think they've got a draw and they beat us over the last few seasons. So again, a hard place to go. But as I said, Newcastle was struggling. They were looking over the shoulders at relegation at that stage. So quite an easy win, really.
Yeah. James says, if Leeds don't fix up at the back next season, then they will definitely go down. Huge task for Marsch next season. Of course, we faced Marsch for two different teams. He was the manager of Leipzig when we played them in the Champions League, and of course managed the Leeds game away from home. Next up then, it was City 6, Leicester 3, the second 6-3 game of the season, with De Bruyne, Amara's penalty, Gundogan, Laporte and the Sterling brace for City, with Maddison, Lookman and Iheanacho scoring for Leicester. We were actually 4-0 up at the break, and within 65 minutes it was 4-3. We didn't make it easy for ourselves, did we?
It was scary, mate, wasn't it? Absolutely. I was stood when they got one back. I think we were all a bit aghast. When they got two back, we started to think, "Oh, yeah, what's going on here?" And of course, when they got the third back, all hell was about to break loose. But fortunately, we sort of upped the gears. We went through the gears as we tended to do in certain games, and so we always had most possession in all these games. But we sort of made it count, and thankfully we sort of saw them off. But it was, I think, it certainly flattered us on the day. And a great fight back by Leicester.
Yeah, definitely. And then the final game of 2021 was Brentford away, where we won by 1-0 with Phil Foden scoring the goal. We had a late goal disallowed by Aymeric Laporte as well for offside. What were your thoughts on this one, Bernard?
Yeah, it was a Foden wonder goal, wasn't it? From what I remember. Brentford had nothing to lose, but they weren't quite as good as I thought they would be. I thought they'd be actually a little bit freer than they were. They were still very wary of City, of course. Paid us due respect, which is fair enough. You can't ask more than that. I'm glad they've ended up they're safe and they've stayed up, because I think Brentford have played some nice stuff, or tried to play some nice stuff. But I said again, just a 1-0 win. But again, we always look comfortable in that one. Yeah.
And then the first game of 2022 definitely wasn't an easy one. A 2-1 away win against Arsenal, with Bukayo Saka scoring for the Gunners, Riyad Mahrez from the penalty spot, and the 93rd minute winner by Rodri to claim all 3 points in this one. What was your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
We were awful this game. Again, I was there on New Year's Day watching this. Absolutely terrible. Just wasn't. We hadn't been great. We hadn't been great in other games, but we'd always sort of dominated. We'd always done okay. But as I say, when you think about the game at the start of the season at the Etihad against Arsenal, this was a totally different Arsenal. And in fact, if they hadn't bottled it a little bit, we would have struggled to get back in this. But they just couldn't cope when they went. They just didn't know how to sort of kill the game off or settle down. And we took advantage in that last minute, that injury time. Rodri effort was superb, absolutely brilliant. I mean, I loved it, but it was a game we were lucky to get a win out of that one.
Yeah, definitely. And then we went to the county ground for the third round of the FA Cup and beat Swindon by 4-1. We went 3-0 up with goals by Bernardo Silva, Gabriel Jesus and Ilkay Gundogan. Then Harry McCurdy got one back for Swindon, and a late goal by Cole Palmer got us through to the fourth round. What was your thoughts on this one, Bernard?
Yeah, I think we were suffering. I mean, obviously, COVID hadn't gone away, had it? It was still around, and I think we had a few players missing with COVID for this one. I mean, Thurner and some of the other big names were missing. Obviously, Thurner would have played in this normally, but I don't think he did in this one because of COVID. So, yeah, it was just what we had to do. It wasn't comfortable by any means, and it gave. I think Swindon were fine. I think they tried to play a little bit of football as well, which was nice to see. But fortunately, once City get a couple of goals, there's a chance we'll get more. So and that's what happened. But all credit for Swindon for, I thought, I thought the fans and the whole setup there and what they did was fine, and a good win in the end.
Yeah. And then we had Chelsea at home and won by 1-0 with a goal scored by Kevin De Bruyne in this one. What was your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Chelsea was still second at that time, but obviously this took us 13 points clear in the league at that stage. Things were looking pretty good. And again, as in the Stamford Bridge one, I don't ever remember being that worried by Chelsea. I thought we totally dominated it. We weren't certain games we were scoring games where we could score 7 and 4 and 5, but certain games like this where we probably could have scored more with a bit more clinicality in front of goal. But no, just another great result. And as I say, we all thought at this stage we could be winning this league by 20 points or so, even though Liverpool did have games in hand. Of course they did. But we were, even when we weren't playing particularly well, we were rolling teams over. So, yeah, I think having beaten the team in second spot, I think we're happy with that at the time.
Yeah, definitely. And then we went to St Mary's and drew 1-1 with Kyle Walker-Peters scoring for Southampton and Laporte scoring for City in this one. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, a long trip down there. I went to this one as well, and that was there's a few I went to this season that we didn't do that well about, but we sort of might have scraped it. But awful, absolutely awful. Again, a game where we had chances. That's clear, good chances as well, and we just couldn't do anything. We couldn't actually do anything with them most of the time. And I think once we got the equaliser, I thought we'd go on and win it, in all fairness. But of course, it was one of those grounds where they don't have spare balls. So we spent most of the last 20 minutes or so chasing around trying to get the ball back from fans and from ball boys and stuff like that, and it just wasn't going to happen. And they took the second, they drew with us at the Etihad, hadn't they? So it took another vital 2 points off us in this one. Very, very disappointed. We should have beat them and we didn't.
Yeah. And then we had the FA Cup fourth round where we actually went 1-0 down to Fulham with a goal by future Liverpool player Fabio Carvalho, with Gundogan, Stones and a Riyad Mahrez brace in this one, making us win by 4-1. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, again, a nice, easy home game in an FA Cup against. All right, they were doing well in the top of the Championship, weren't they? I think at the time. Yeah. But these are the games we can. And he went strong again. Pep went strong. I think obviously a couple of the lads came on, didn't he? But he did go strong again for this, which is what he did all season, apart from when it got to the crucial bit at the end, which he may have been forced not to go strong because of injuries and stuff like that. But just comfortable. Fulham are back in the Premier League now. I can't see any reason why they'll probably stay in the Premier League unless they strengthen, because it was pretty much a straightforward victory. Yeah.
And then we had another home win over another West London outfit. It was City 2, Brentford 0, with a Riyad Mahrez penalty and a De Bruyne goal in this one, making it 2-0. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, similar to their place, wasn't it? It wasn't that long ago, was it? It was quick turnaround on games against Brentford. They played very well. They played with confidence. As I say, they certainly weren't safe at that stage. They were okay in the league, but like they did at Brentford, they worked very hard, and made us work for a sort of not a emphatic win by any means, but certainly made us work for a 2-0 win.
Yeah, definitely. And then we had a 4-0 win away from home against Norwich, with Raheem Sterling scoring a hat-trick in this one and Phil Foden scoring for City. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, I think Alex Zinchenko was pointed out as one of the heroes for this one. Played very well. We'll talk about him again, I'm sure, before we finish this vlog today, or I will anyway. I know that. Yeah, Norwich was struggling, weren't they? They hit a bit of a purple patch where they won 1 or 2 games, but City aren't going to go to Norwich and not turn them over, and that's what we did. It was never in doubt, this one, I don't think.
Yeah. And then we went out to Lisbon for Sporting 0, City 5, with Mahrez, Bernardo Silva brace, Foden and Sterling being the goal scorers for City in this one. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, great game. This sort of worked out for us, didn't it? And as far as bringing them back to ours and having a dead rubber, obviously working Liverpool's favour later on in the competition. We weren't so lucky, of course, but simple. And I think Bernardo led I think Bernardo was our star man on the night. He loved playing. He loved playing against, obviously, back in his own country. Just what we needed, didn't it, from a last 16 game, which meant we could sort of relax a little bit more in the second leg, which meant we could go strong perhaps in other games in and around it. So yeah, an emphatic great victory for City over there. One of our better ones in Europe, I think, although we never get the plaudits for our victories in Europe, but I thought it was a great win.
Yeah. And then we were at home against Tottenham, where we lost by 3-2, with Kulusevski putting the visitors 1-0 up. Then Gundogan scored to make it 1-1. Harry Kane made it 2-1 Tottenham. A late penalty by Riyad Mahrez made it 2-2. And then a 95th minute winner by Harry Kane snatched all 3 points for Tottenham. What were your thoughts on this one, Bernard?
Well, we let them do the double over us, didn't we? Again, we're going to have to start beating Tottenham. I'm sick of this, at their place and at ours. It's one of those games where we should have just took the point. We should have just, once we got that equaliser, naivety again from City, we should have just calmed the game down. But that's probably not Pep's way. I'm being a bit mean, I think. Just Pep doesn't do it that way, does it? We should have, once we got that draw, we should have just took the draw, made sure we were tight at the back. But no, we just fell for a sucker punch again off Tottenham. I mean, virtually every goal we scored against is a similar style. Just again, I have to say, we were confident. We were running away with the league, but then we let teams like Tottenham beat us at home. It wasn't good. It wasn't good, and we will have to improve on that against Spurs in the future. That's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And then we went to Goodison Park for a 1-0 win over Everton in the league with a late winner by Phil Foden in this one. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, well, this all hinged on the apology that Everton got off the FA for the idiots, and I'll call him an idiot because he is an idiot in this game. Anyway, obviously he's come back and been a bit of a hero since. Of course he has, but what was that all about? I mean, it shouldn't have even happened. The handball. All right, there's nothing to say Everton would have scored the penalty. There's nothing to say City would have gone up the other end and made it 2-1. But we were lucky. We were lucky in this, of course. And we don't need fans of other clubs to look at things like this and say this is why you won the league, because we were too good generally for that. But very disappointing in Rodri. That game was won. We'll talk about another game in a bit that was one that we cocked up as well, and he very nearly gave it away, but I'll take that, but we didn't really deserve it.
Yeah. And then we went to the Western Home Stadium for the FA Cup 5th round. Peterborough 0, City 2, with Mahrez and Grealish scoring the goals in this one for City. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Pretty awful, mate, wasn't it? I was at this one as well down there. It was absolutely awful. I mean, they give us a really good game. We had chances, but we didn't exactly batter them. Third was our best player on the night, which sort of says it all, because obviously using his experience against a so-called weaker team. But we'll take it as a victory, but it wasn't a great match. We just did what we had to do to scrape through it, I think.
Yeah. James says, if we never made a costly mistake, we would have got a point against you guys, but it is what it is. Of course, Everton ended up staying up at the end of the season, so that's all that matters.
All's well that ends well.
Yeah. And then after that, we had another battering over United. City 4, United 1. De Bruyne brace and a Mahrez brace being City's goals, and Sancho scored for United in this one. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, well, this is one where all the attacking midfielders hit form, really, didn't they? De Bruyne, Mahrez, Grealish, Foden, not quite as good, but still good. Yeah, I mean, we absolutely finally, because how many games have we lost at home to them recently? Too many to talk about. Very depressing, but finally we're the far better team, and finally we made it count, thankfully, and it was a wonderful sight to behold.
Yeah, definitely. And then after that, we had the second leg against Sporting, which ended up being 0-0 at the end of it. The main highlight really was Scott Carson coming on for the last 15 minutes. We did also have a goal disallowed in that one for offside. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, it is what it is, mate. 0-0, it just about sums it up. It was a pretty awful game, as you said. Carson coming on was the highlight, which but that's probably what we needed. It was good to have a game where we could perhaps rest players that needed resting, etc. And just chalk it off as job done.
Yeah. And then we had another 0-0 draw, this time at Selhurst Park for Crystal Palace 0, City 0. What was your thoughts on this one, Bernard?
Well, I was there again for this one, and God, I said I've not done. How many games have I been to that we've not done very well? Now I went to the away games almost every. I'll have to stop going to away games. Yeah, it was awful. Absolutely, we had so many chances. Palace never really were much of a threat. We had loads of chances, but so many players had a poor game, and I can understand why Pep didn't change anything. He didn't use any subs. Because we were playing all right, but we weren't putting the ball in the net. So if you're playing well, fair enough. But if you're not scoring, make a sub, make 2 or 3 subs. We said it at the time. We said it on air, Charlie. I mean, just Pep's logic didn't make any sort of sense whatsoever. Yes, we were dominating, but we weren't putting the ball in the net. We just needed some guy to come on. There weren't that many actually options, to be in all fairness. But we just needed someone else to come on, stick Delap on or something. Just someone else who might be able to score a goal, and that's all it mattered. I mean, we didn't need a 0-0 at this stage because obviously Liverpool had begun to close in and breathing down our necks. It was awful, absolutely awful.
Yeah. And then we went to St Mary's for the second time this season in the quarter-finals of the FA Cup to win by 4-1. Sterling, De Bruyne, Foden and Mahrez scoring for City, and the Laporte own goal was the scorer for Southampton to book another trip to Wembley. What was your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
I was at this one, mate. We won it. At last, I was at this one as well. And awful first half. We were comfortable at 1-0, that ridiculous own goal up the other end to where we were. So I didn't get a great view of it. It just looked comical when we saw it played back. But fortunately, again, as I said, City have got enough quality in the team, even when we're not having the greatest day, to pull these things back. And by the end, we were worthy winners of this game.
Yeah. And then we went to Turf Moor to win by 2-0 with goals by De Bruyne and Gundogan in this one. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, another one where we just did what we had to do. Burnley, obviously, at that stage, I had nothing in my imagination said they were going to get relegated. They had to catch up with games. That was the problem. Obviously, if you've got loads of games behind you, you're going to suffer late in the season because you'll be playing twice a week. And all right, we're used to it, but teams like Burnley aren't used to that sort of level of performance week in, week out, or every 3 or 4 days. But we did what we had to do. We weren't outstanding again, but we won comfortably in the end.
Yeah. And then after that, we had the home game against Atletico Madrid in the start of the run of Atletico Liverpool as the fixtures. A 1-0 win in this one with the goal scored by Kevin De Bruyne. What was your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, it was great. It was just nice to get a 1-0 win, wasn't it? I think we were all happy with that. Pep was happy with that. His old famous bottle throwing thing with the big C that everyone's using now for the City things. Yeah, I mean, I would have took that all day. Only 1-0, but I had faith in City that we could go over there and if not win, at least not let more than one goal deficit. So yeah, I think we were all pretty chuffed with that at that stage of the competition.
Yeah. And then we had Liverpool at home in the Premier League, which was 2-2 with De Bruyne and Jesus scoring for City, Jota and Mane scoring for Liverpool in this one. What was your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Well, a win would have been nice because it would have opened the gap again a little bit and knocked them back. But it wasn't a total disaster, but at the time it didn't feel great. Again, we were the better team. again, we should have done better than we did. All credit to Liverpool this time. That it's them that came back into it from being behind. So all credit to them. But we should have really knocked them out. At least put them back on the floor, shouldn't we, by winning this one? But we should have won it. We didn't. Credit to Liverpool for salvaging a point.
Yeah, definitely. And then we went out to Madrid for a 0-0 draw against Atleti, which of course didn't end up being the final time out in Madrid this season. 0-0 on the night. Just a lot of scraps near the end of the game, weren't there, between both sets of players? That was what resulted in the end.
Well, thank God for that, because he lost the composure. There was still at least 10 minutes and plus injury time left. Atletico in the ascendancy. We couldn't do anything. That second half was one of the worst performances in a half that I've ever seen City play. We were awful. We couldn't hold on to the ball. We couldn't put more than 2 or 3 passes together. We were terrible. So we got away with it, and the defence played pretty well to keep them out. But as I say, thank God Atletico were thick. Thank God the players are useless to actually start causing trouble with 10 minutes. Once that happened, obviously it disrupted the flow of the game. So, where they were on the front foot, all of a sudden they shot themselves in the foot. So, and a great result for us in the end, but it could have all gone pear-shaped at that stage for us.
Yeah, and then we had our game at Wembley against Liverpool, which ended up being 3-2 to Liverpool. In this one, with Grealish and Bernardo scoring for City, Konate and the Mane brace in this one for Liverpool. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Well, it all hinged on team selection, didn't it, mate? Obviously, he was limited a little bit. We were struggling, but he made the biggest error by putting Stefan in goal. I think most people, even though a certain goalkeeper, I'm sick of seeing things on Twitter at the moment, slagging off Ederson. There's lots of it on Twitter at the moment from so-called City fans. Ederson should have played only for the point. I'm not saying Stefan isn't an half-decent goalie, but with such a ramshackle defence in front of him, you needed confidence in your goalkeeper. And I'm sorry, Stefan, it's not hindsight. Most City fans said it before the game. Stefan shouldn't be playing this. And it backfired on us badly. And it was all too little too late by the end. Of course, we had a little bit of a fight back, but no, we'd wrecked it. In hindsight, yes, we probably going forward, we probably would have had to fielded the kids for the FA Cup final if we'd got through this. But hey, so what? At least we might have had a chance. At least we would have got there. But no, all on Pep this one, I'm afraid. He let us down on this one.
Yeah. And then we had Brighton at home in the Premier League, a 3-0 win in this one with Mahrez, Foden and Bernardo being the goal scorers. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, I think that was about this time we discovered that KDB had been playing half the season with a bit of an injury. I think by this stage he was not feeling his ankle and stuff like this. He was starting to have really big games. Unfortunately, not enough of them, but he was beginning to have some big games. And this was one of them at Brighton. Brighton, who said, impressed me at their place. Again, they try and play football. So if a team tries to play football, we've always got a chance against that. And a quite comfortable 3-0 in the end.
Yeah. James has said, I watched that FA Cup semi-final on TV. Liverpool were too good in that first half. I was baffled that Stefan played. Yeah, as many City fans said. Ederson should have played in that one, really. And then we had a 5-1 win at home against Watford with Gabriel Jesus scoring 4 in this one and a Rodri goal with Kamara scoring for Watford. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, in the same way, KDB was magnificent against Wolves, which we'll talk about. Jesus picked his time to have a brilliant game in this. Remind everyone what a good player he is. Say another player who this year has been slagged off by all and sundry, even City fans, and this game belonged to him. A great victory against. All right, let's admit it. A doomed Watford, but at Watford at that stage were playing with, they didn't really care that much. It was virtually all over for them anyway, so they had a bit of a freedom about the play. But it belonged to Jesus this game.
Yeah, 100%. And then we had the first leg of the Champions League semi-final, a 4-3 win over Real Madrid with De Bruyne, Jesus Foden and Bernardo scoring for City. A Benzema brace for Real Madrid with Vinicius Jr. also scoring for them. What was your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, defensively we weren't great. We got punished, didn't we? And certain players, defenders, didn't come out of it, including Ederson, didn't come out of it too well. This one, I'm not going to stick up for Ederson when he doesn't play that great. I do like him, and I think he's the best goalie we can have at the moment. But yeah, defensively we weren't good, but fortunately, the guys up top were doing the stuff, weren't they? I mean, KDB, Jesus, and Foden all got 9 out of 10s, I think, in the Manchester Evening News ratings, which I couldn't disagree with. And people like Mahrez and Rodri and Zinchenko again, another unsung hero, played brilliantly, and I was happy with that. A lot of people said we missed the opportunity to win by 2 or 3 goals, and yes, hindsight's wonderful, isn't it? But at the time, as in the Atletico Madrid game, I thought 4-3, 1 goal advantage. I didn't particularly worry about the Bernabeu. I thought we'd be all right. No, I thought it was a brilliant victory.
Yeah. And then we went to Ellen Road for the second team that Jesse Marsch managed against us this season. A 4-0 win over Leeds in this one, with Rodri, Ake, Jesus and Fernandinho scoring City's goals in this one. What was your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, I thought it'd be tougher than it was. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, and it was great to see Ferner get his last goal, competitive goal for City, wasn't it? That was the last time he would score for us, which is always great to see. And he scored quite a few goals over time, and obviously won that. Was it the most powerful goal of the season award, whatever crap that is? I have no idea, but I mean, yeah. So hey, so what? It's a prize, isn't it? So nice to see him holding that aloft. But yeah, it was a bit easier than I thought it'd be. I thought Leeds were a little bit better, but obviously because they had a lot to play for, of course, because they were still in danger of relegation at the time. But of course, City are a far superior team, so a comfortable win.
Yeah. And then we went out to Madrid for the final time this season, and it did not end well. It ended up Real Madrid 3, City 1, 6-5 on aggregate, with a Rodrigo brace and a Benzema goal in extra time scored Madrid's goals, and I thought anyway, Riyad Mahrez won it when he scored in the 73rd minute in that one. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, me too, mate. It was over. It was won. That game was won. All we needed was a bit of gamesmanship that we did against Villa at the Etihad in the last game of the season, where we just needed to take it into a corner, waste time, fall over with cramp, do all the things that Real Madrid would have done against us in the same situation. But no, we carried on playing. We carried on playing as though, it's 88 minutes, 89 minutes. We won this 1-0, no problem. And look what happened. Absolute disaster. 2 attempts, two chances, 2 goals in the space of a couple of minutes. Absolutely ridiculous. As I said, again, naivety from City, naivety from Pep as a manager not to instruct his players to get it out to the wings, get it out to the corner flags, get it, do anything with it apart from let it come back near our area. Awful. A game that we'd won, and I'm sorry, that was probably our worst display of the season for me. Shocking display. All credit to Real Madrid. They did well to get the goals, take the goals. We shouldn't have been in that position. Game should have been over. Game should have been won. Game management made a mess of it. Absolute disaster.
Yeah. And then next up in the league, we had City 5, Newcastle 0, with a Sterling brace, Laporte, Rodri and Foden being the goals in this game. What was your thoughts on this one, Bernard?
Yeah, I think if you had to come back to playing the Premier League after the disappointment of Spain, of course, I think it was probably the best one you could have. Newcastle, yes, comfortable now, not threatened with relegation, but that usually means, they're not on the beach, but players' minds don't think, if you played amateur football, I'm sure you played a bit of football, Charlie. If it's a friendly game, there's not as much on it as a competitive game, and even professional footballers have the same thing. If they're comfortable, if they know the safe, they're not going to put it in. So it's an ideal game for City to play in this. And thankfully, we turned them over well and truly. As I say, we sort of got over our Madrid heartache as it was, and the players turned up for this one and turned them over against, as I said, a Newcastle who could have took it positively and enjoyed themselves, but were a bit humiliated in the end, and they've got a long way to go as well, I think, even though they are safe. And let's see what they do over close season with new signings and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then we went to Molineux for Wolves 1, City 5, with Dendoncker scoring Wolves' goal. De Bruyne scored 4 with a Raheem Sterling goal as well. What were your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Yeah, when you see KDB in this sort of form, and then I just couldn't help hark back to Madrid and the facts. All right, when KDB went off, we actually scored our goal, but KDB just got a grip of the game somehow, or perhaps Pep's tactics didn't allow him to. But I mean, when you saw how he could get a grip of this Wolves game, all right, Wolves are not Real Madrid, of course they're not, but he just took it as Jesus had done in that game where he scored 4 goals. Kevin just took total control this game. We needed to see him do this more often in the season. As I said, he was injured for certainly for about 2/3 of it. So, but this was fantastic. It just made me a bit sad. Just made me a bit sad that even if he's playing to instructions from Pep in Madrid, take it upon yourself. Change, move out of the way. If Pep's told you to be in a certain place, go somewhere else and try something different. And take the crap from Pep later. What's Pep going to do? Sack him? Is he going to sack KDB for taking something by the scruff of the neck? So brilliant display, brilliant win, but it just left me a little bit sad about the game 2 games previously in Madrid.
Yeah. James says De Bruyne was a man possessed against Wolves. They couldn't cope. And then next up, we had the final away game of the season. West Ham 2, City 2. Jared Bowen with a brace in the first half for West Ham made it 2-0 at the break. Grealish and Vladimir Koufal on goal made it 2-2. And of course, there was a late penalty miss by Riyad Mahrez, which could have basically won us the league at West Ham that day if he'd have scored that. Of course, it went to the final day, and thank God it went well for us against Aston Villa. But what was your thoughts on this one, Bernard?
A game again. We should have won it. We should have won this game. Wouldn't we City if it didn't put us through the mixer? All right, we've had 1 or 2 seasons where we've been a little bit comfortable when we've won the league, but no, it wouldn't be City otherwise, would it? But it was just the Mahrez, isn't it? Just the Mahrez penalty. I'm not going to. Everyone's saying, why did he take it? So, well, he took it because he's our penalty taker. I mean, there's no qualms. I had no qualms about Mahrez taking it. And then I watched a few back of his old penalties he scored with this season, and 1 or 2 of them were sort of that height to that side. So once the keeper, of a big keeper like he is, decided to go that side, there's a possibility we'll save it. Say Mahrez got lucky with the other couple that I saw with that height because the goalie had gone the other way. So there you go. That's it. But that could have won it for us, and I was thoroughly disappointed. I was confident, of course, we could still do it against Villa, depending what sort of team we would put out, certainly defensively. But just for that, we should have won it. And Mahrez, who was a bit of a hero for some of the season, turned into the villain again, didn't he?
Yeah. Big up Charlie in the chat as well. James says, I was on the concourse at Goodison before our game with Brentford. When Mahrez got the penalty, everyone around me was shouting, bury it, Mahrez. When he missed, everyone was fuming. And Static says, hey, Charlie and Bernard, unfortunately, I cannot stay. I came to quickly say hello to both of you. Congratulations for winning the league. Big up to you, Static, as well, mate. And then, of course, the final game of the season, Man City 3, Aston Villa 2. We went 2-0 down, of course. Matty Cash, Felipe Coutinho. Liverpool fans must have been delighted at that point when they found out Coutinho had put it in the back of the net. And then one of the best substitutions of all time, Gundogan came on for Bernardo Silva. He scored a brace with Rodri also scoring for City in this one. What was your thoughts on this game, Bernard?
Well, we wanted a nice, easy, relaxing 1-2-3-4-5-0, didn't we? Well, as it slowly built. But as I say, typical City, they weren't going to do that for us. And would we have swapped what happened for anything else? Probably not. One of the best 6 minutes, 5.5, 6 minutes, and it's just a nice length of time. You can watch it back time and time again, and still gives you the old goosebumps. Not quite to the 93-20 thing, but not far off for younger guys like perhaps you, Charlie, who didn't really remember the 93-20. It's just something very similar to enjoy for the young lads, for like yourself. Absolutely stunning, but I would have been happier that we were winning it comfortably. But all credit to Villa. Again, defensively, we looked a bit iffy, which, it's on the cards. But at 2-0 down, I'd looked at my lad and said, we're not going to get away with it this time. We both agreed, and he's usually quite optimistic. I've sort of switched, actually. He used to be quite optimistic, me pessimistic. And it's turned that I'm more the opposite now than he is. But, we didn't think it'd be any coming back. But we've slagged Pep off all seasons for his substitutions, haven't we? But finally gets it right. But did he get it wrong in the first place? So let's face it, what the hell was he doing playing Stones at right back and putting Ferner next to Laporte? In the same way City fans were up in arms when he didn't play Ederson in this FA Cup semi-final. Every single City fan I spoke to, what the hell's he doing? Why isn't Stones playing next to Laporte? I have no idea what's wrong with Zinchenko and Cancelo as the defenders. Was he being sentimental for Fernandinho? I don't think so. That's not his usual way of doing things. Pep, he's not usually a sentimental guy, but as I say, wonderful substitutions, but he shouldn't have had to do them in the first place because of his team selection. I mean, for me, Gundogan perhaps should have been on from the start based on the facts of who was fit and who wasn't fit. But very odd from Pep. He did it, a masterstroke, bringing Gundogan on. And I'm not going to say the fans in the ground got overly excited when Gundogan came on. There was no great heave of a sigh. Oh, well, Gundogan will pull us out of it. But, obviously, him and old Rocket Rodri, who I was a bit disparaging with his performance at Everton and his handball, which I still, I'll defend him. I will slag him off for that, but I will say what a fantastic Gundogan type goal as well. It was side-footed, which isn't Rodri's way. He usually puts his toe through it or his laces through it. But brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I say we wouldn't swap it now, of course. Now we know it's all over and done. And I think once we went 3-2 up, I think Villa would give up. I don't think there's any chance in the last 10 minutes or so with injury time that they were going to get it back. And we did what we should have done against Real Madrid, didn't we? We went over to the corner flag. Jesus, the master of this, Jesus. People like Jesus and Bernardo, who obviously wasn't on then, and Grealish, of course, he wasn't on, but he's usually good at that as well. But Jesus in that corner, fantastic. And that's what we should have done in Madrid. So again, it made me a little sad thinking back to Madrid again. But obviously, brilliant, a brilliant way to finish the season. It could have gone better, but hey, we'll be a bit churlish not to welcome another league title. And I think we're all excited. Well, I'm excited for next season as well. So certainly Vu's on the horizon. I'm hoping we'll do a treble, which we've never done before. We've never done 3 on the run. So I'm hoping for 5 out of 6.
Yeah. James says in 2012 it was Aguero. Fast forward 10 years later, it was Gundogan. Chelsea fan says, what a comeback for City. James says, I thought you lost the title when Villa went 2-0 up, but what a quick fire comeback from you guys. And Chelsea fan says, the best comeback of the season. So for the final part of the show, we'll do some awards. So we've got goal of the season, best player performance in a match this season, best team performance this season, best moment of the season, and player of the season. So we'll start with the goal of the season. Who are you going to go for, Bernard?
Yeah, I think we mentioned the Rodri one, didn't we? The Rodri's rocket at Everton, which was absolutely stunning. I mean, I do like Pickford. Was it Everton at our place? Can't remember anyway. But obviously Pickford had no chance with that. But it has to be Bernardo, doesn't it? I mean, how it wasn't picked for the match of the day, goal of the season, I have no idea whatsoever, apart from the bias against City. Because it wasn't just the goal, it was the actual build-up, his actual playing that defensive right-hand side to get the ball out to Jesus to actually cross the ball for Bernardo to hit it perfectly against Villa. A superb goal in the context, we're winning 1-0, a second goal more or less settled it, even though Villa played better the second half. I just thought that had to be by easily. They say ignore the Villa game, because I think all three of those were my goals of the season in the end. But you can't do that as far as that's concerned. Bernardo against Villa, I think the build up and the goal, superb.
Yeah, and then next up we've got best player performance in a match this season. What are you gonna go for?
Yeah, well, we mentioned the Jesus one, didn't we? And there was a lot of Bernardo ones, and I've not had time to look back and analyse. I mean, there was literally in the space of about 15 games before Christmas, I think I had him as man of the match about 7 or 8 times. He was absolutely superb. He petered out a little bit as the season dragged on, of course, but. Yeah, but I'm going to have to say KDB against Wolves, and say it makes me sad, as I said, because he could have done that in other games as well, but he didn't. As a sort of performance in a match by one player, say Bernardo, I'll give an honourable mention to, and Jesus for that 4 goal at a time when we needed to win games. But I think KDB again at a time we needed to beat Wolves. Like, Wolves aren't the greatest team in the world, of course they're not, but I'd have to do that. And as I say, with a little tinge of regret that he didn't do it in a couple of other games as well. Yeah.
And then next up, we've got best team performance this season. What are you going to go for in that one?
Well, I think we have to go back to near the start of the season. As I said, I think it was game 5 or 6, I think game 6 or something like that. Chelsea, Stamford Bridge. I just thought there was quite a lot of average team performances, and there was probably 3 or 4 of the season where the whole team did very, very well. But that game, Chelsea were top of the league. There was a lot of shouting about Tuchel and Chelsea winning this league this season, wasn't there? Let's be fair about it after last season, and to go there and even though it was just only a 1-0 win, but to go there and totally dominate the game as we did. I thought it was a superb performance. It put down, I think I said it when we looked at the game earlier on when we were chatting, it put down a marker then that City aren't going anywhere, and you're going to have to fight really hard to take this title off us. And I say Liverpool had a good crack at it. Chelsea faded out, of course. But I'd have to say that game. I'll say the Chelsea game back at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah. The next one then, the best moment of the season. What are you gonna go for?
Well, we can't go past Villa game, can we, mate? But there's best 3 moments. Let's say it's the best 6 minutes. The best 6 minutes I've ever had in my life. And we're talking football here. The best 6 minutes of my life, or 5.5, 6 minutes. That's not bad length of time, is it? So it has to be for me. That's the best moment of the season. There's probably, if I went through and analysed all my little bits and bobs and stuff, there's probably other things as well, of course. Zinchenko, I think, a couple of times, certainly a game or 2 after the Ukraine thing and coming on and getting a welcome from like Peterborough, places like that, where he got a warm welcome from the home fans as well and stuff like that. I think, what was the other place? Was it Norwich? I think Norwich as well, he got a warm welcome. That's about the time when the war has just been starting, etc., and all the atrocities. So, yeah, Zinchenko, there were some moments with that. But I just have to say the best moment had to be that 5.5 minutes against Aston Villa. Probably the best, not the best 5.5 minutes of my life, but certainly up there for this season anyway.
Yeah. Finally, player of the season. Who are you gonna go for?
Are you gonna do the underrated player as well?
Yeah.
Well, do that before the player.
We'll do that first, actually. Yeah. Underrated player.
Yeah. Because it's an interesting one, because I did have a long think about this, and obviously, personally, looking back, and I've been doing some season end reviews, guys. That's probably, if you're watching, that's probably why I know a little bit more about these. So I've done quite a few. I think Grealish and Jesus were both underrated this season. I thought Grealish for the first half of the season was far better than everyone was giving credit for. Jesus, when he was playing, was superb as well. Every time he came in, occasionally he had a sort of quiet game, but who didn't? He wasn't alone in that. So I'm just going to give an honourable mention for those two, Grealish and Jesus. But when it comes down to it, I'm going to say again, I'm going to split it. I'm going to have two guys. I'm just going to have Zinchenko for obvious reasons, for stepping in and doing what he did. And also a guy who perhaps could have done more for us at the end of the season, but injury prevented it. And that was Ake, again, who stepped into the breach at times. And I think those two certainly underrated by City fans. Well, I think a lot of City fans appreciate him, of course they do. But I think this season, what they've had to do with the games they've played, they've not played many games, they've not had to play many games, but they've never let us down. And for that reason, my two, if you like, players for this category would be Zinchenko and Ake.
Yeah. And finally, player of the season. Who are you going to go for in that one?
Yeah, well, there's a lot. Again, it was a close thing. We were doing the player ratings a couple of weeks ago for the Manchester Evening News and me, and we did differ slightly. His number one was my number two, and my number two was his number one. Obviously, that was Grealish half season, believe it or not. So it did change after that. Yeah, so I mean, honourable mentions would probably be to Bernardo, who was on fire. Let's be honest about it. Bernardo was on fire for that first half of the season. He was almost untouchable, as I said before, with his performances. And even Jesus, I thought, even though he was given honourable mentions as being underrated, I thought he had a great season overall when he come in and played. And the other guy, as I said, Grealish, again, I thought he played superbly. Not as well as second half of the season, but he didn't get many chances. But, yes, it's going to be in second spot, I have Mr. Foden. So, yeah, there's only one guy. As I said, with a tinge of regret, he perhaps was a bit injured for the first part of the season. With a tinge of regret, he didn't step up perhaps in a couple of games where we might have needed him to towards the end of the season. But it has to be KDB for me. I think overall he was on player rating stats. He was my number one, and thinking back of game by game and looking back at games, consistency-wise, even with the injury, he was still one of our best players, even though it wasn't his best season. I don't think it was many players' best seasons, in all fairness. But I think, obviously, KDB and the Bernardos and all these players have had better seasons than this, the Fodens, but I just thought this season I'd have to give it KDB for the second half of the season and becoming a proper captain at times.
Yeah. So that's it then for this season and this show. So just before we wrap it up, where can we find you, mate?
Yeah, well, I'll be doing my little vlogs all summer long. There's plenty there. I'm working hard on even more at the moment. So if you want your City fix, so if you get on my YouTube channel, the easiest way to do it is just follow me on Twitter. I follow back at Bernard_Dineen. And as I say, if you do go on a search engine, just put Bernard Dineen in, and I'll pop up all over the place anyway with my little YouTube stuff. And of course, if you are needing a rest from football, I enjoy a rest from football, believe it or not, even though I do all this work over the summer. Obviously, I've got to do films and TV stuff as well. So check out my channel for that as well as City. So thanks very much, mate.
Yeah, cheers for coming on once again, mate. So you can find me here, Dugout Daily on YouTube. This is the football channel. Hit the Apex is the F1 channel, and at MSGFC Hibs on Twitter. So everybody, that is it for this season. Reviewing City, champions again, 2 out of 2. Hopefully we'll make it 3 out of 3 and 5 out of 6 next season as well. So everybody, take care this summer. And most important,
bye Ferner as well. Goodbye to Ferner.
Yeah,
great.
9 years, and he will definitely not be forgotten in the sky blue of City. So everybody, take care, and we'll see you all next season for the City reviews. Everybody, take care, and we'll speak to you all soon. Goodbye for now.